summer of chess comes to an end as 20 international grandmasters compete in St. Louis. USChessChamps.com presents the third annual Fall Chess Classic.
Hello and welcome back to round 7 of the Fall Chess Classic. We're in the home stretch here, Dennis. It's been 6 exciting, action-packed days of chess so far.
And more to come.
Yeah, and definitely more to come. The players show no sign of slowing down, no signs of really any fatigue coming into round 7 here. Of course, there are just 9 rounds in this event, so there are just 3 games to go, including today.
The most exciting part is just straight ahead of us.
Yeah, coming up in these next 2 days, everything will be decided. So these players have nothing left to do but put it all on the table, go all in, and start scoring some points. So why don't we see where we actually stand currently. In the A group, it's the story of Ray Robson. Ray, of course, got off to a slower start this tournament. He drew his round 1 game, and then actually lost his round 2 game. But since then, he has won 4 games in a row, and he's looking to make it 5 today.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, clearly, deservedly at the number 1 spot in the A group right now. Jordan van Forest is also chasing Ray with a very formidable score of 3.5 out of 6. There are still a myriad of players, all on 50%, but they are definitely running out of time, I would say, Dennis. Running out of time to catch up to Ray Robson, especially if he does well today. And then there are also a variety of players at 2.5 out of 6. Why don't we check out the B group? In the B group, Yasser Quesada Perez has jumped out to a very strong lead with 5 points out of 6, an even higher score than Ray Robson.
Leapfrogging the early reader.
Yes.
Jack Stambuliak.
Jack, of course, was the story of the B group in the first 3 rounds, actually scoring 3 points out of 3, but has since only managed to score 1 more point in the latter 3 rounds of this tournament. Following them are Dennis Kadrich, Aram Hakobian, and Steven Zirk, all at a very nice score of +1 and 3.5 out of 6. Why don't we take a look at the format for this tournament? All the players up there in the tournament hall are competing in 2 10-player round robins. That would be this A group and the B group. The time control that they are competing in is 90 minutes for the first 40 moves, plus 30 minutes for the remainder of the game thereafter. They are also given a 30-second increment from move 1. And there is also a draw rule in effect. The players are actually not allowed to offer each other a draw until Black makes his 30th move. As always, we wanted to thank you guys for joining us here in the YouTube chat. Sir Wordy, I hope you're getting your pizza, my friend. Rob De Goyam, Supernova, Kappa 1611, thank you all for joining us. If you guys have any questions for us, any questions for the players once we get them in for an interview, feel free to let us know in that YouTube chat. We will be keeping an eye on it. If you also want to get involved on Twitter, use the hashtag FallChessClassic to tweet out to us. And as always, you can follow the games for yourself live on USChessChamps.com to see all the action for yourself. Well, Dennis, it's about time to take a look and see what the players are doing today. So let's check out the pairings in Group A. Varakobian squares off against Hrant Melkumian. Jordan van Forest, the number 2 player in the A group, is actually taking on Alexander Lenderman. And breaking news, I believe they have just drawn that game. So Daro Swerts has drawn Alex Ipatov already. Ilyas Smearin takes on Alexander Bortnik. And our key matchup of the day is Vasif Durabali against Ray Robson. And you know what they say about this one, Dennis. It's going to make for an excellent game of the day. 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 All right, so there we see the players. Why don't we check out what's going on over the board?
Well, lots of action, and Ray seems to be getting to the touchdown zone.
Wow.
It could be 5 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 in a row is
5 in a row is impressive.
Almost unheard of for an event as strong as this with, in fact, 2,600 level players.
Yeah, and this would be a middle 5 out of 5.
Yeah, interesting that he got off to that kind of slower start, but has since really found his form and is dominating this tournament. Obviously, one piece on this board sticks out to me more than the rest. And that is this very strange knight on E7.
E7, yes, and that will potentially be a huge issue. But let's take a look at the beginning part for a second.
All right.
Oh my god. This is a Caro-Kann.
A Caro-Kann.
Are you
Interesting.
familiar with the Caro-Kann?
I believe this is the Panov line, Dennis.
Yes,
and,
it is.
Black plays very naturally with knight f6, knight c3, knight c6, and now white plays bishop g5. Back in the olden days, of course, white would love to play knight f3, and then after black would play bishop to g4. Very often, players would try their chances in what's known as the endgame line, but that hasn't been very popular since, I believe, like the 1980s or something. They gave that one up a while ago.
The bishop g5 line is, of course, the Botvinnik variation.
Yeah, trying a bit harder to win. But now, ever since I believe the 90s, there was a famous game between Topalov and Lucko, where Lucko managed to win quite convincingly with this bishop e6 move. It's a very interesting line, and it's been quite popular ever since.
Yeah. And probably this caught Durabelli a little bit off guard. Even though g3 is probably critical, I think bishop takes f6 is better than c5. Point being, you're
Right.
trying to lock in this bishop.
Playing against the bishop.
Bishop
makes a lot of
b5,
sense.
knight g2, and black has counter chances here. Probably a6 and g6, bishop g7. There's bishop pair compensating for the defects of the black position.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not as though black's pawn structure is really all that horrible.
Yeah.
The d pawn is slightly weak, but these 4 pawns on the king side actually work together quite nicely
Yes.
to defend the black king and potentially launch an attack later on in the game.
Yeah, and in fact, this d4 pawn can get super weak.
Absolutely.
In fact, black often even goes f5, g5, saying that if you ever pose the knight on f3, I'll go g4. I'll attack that guy. But anyways, white went for g3, d takes, knight d5, and this was a pawn sack.
Oh, interesting.
Bishop, knight g2, h6, bishop e3, and g5. What a nice and aggressive move. It's kind of refreshing to see these active, brave moves when you're so used to seeing g6 in all of the classical games.
Definitely. You can imagine that there's going to be an uncomfortable amount of space for black on the king side, whereas white's pieces aren't really set up to take advantage of this weakening move.
So actually the fight is revolving around the d5 square.
Right.
So knight f4 might be potentially dangerous for black, as if I manage to exchange this, I might be able to push d5.
Yeah, it's the age-old saying. The way to fight against the knights is to take away their squares. If the
Yes.
knights have no squares, they're not very useful.
So this g5 is a very big star move, as it takes away the key square of f4. h4, and black says that I don't care about pawns as long as I can start developing and castling, and I'll be happy, because this is an isolated pawn, which will be super weak in the future.
Of course, black is already up a pawn to begin with here, so
Yeah.
he's just giving it back.
Yes. Queen a4, queen d7. So black so far is playing the role of reverse Robin Hood, but he's playing for the good.
Reverse Robin Hood.
Reversed Robin Hood.
Okay.
He's
So
actually
he's
taking the pawn.
stealing from the poor and giving it to the rich?
Yes.
Okay.
So in any case, these bishops are working really hard, and black has no real issues here. So even if black would to lose the pawn, black would still have firm control.
Yes, and there's also this problem of the d4 pawn as well,
Yes.
immediately, right? I don't know if...
A d4 pawn,
yeah,
I
black
would-
probably can't capture
You
because
can't
of
capture
rook
because the
d1
d5
ideas.
is a little
Yeah.
bit loose, and if you would take this rook, I might just capture it eventually.
Ah, yeah, definitely.
So a3 was played, knight c3 takes knight d4, but this was near a blunder, as black is up a lot of pawns.
Yeah, black is probably close to winning here, in my opinion.
So knight d5 was played, hoping for some big counterplay, but Ray is known to be a cool player. He plays e6, knight e7, king c7.
And after this line, this is what really struck me as odd. You know, white obviously didn't have the best position with the knight on c3, but now he's giving himself an extra problem.
Yes.
I don't see why white really felt the need to go in for this.
Yes. I think Durarbeli Sif was trying to hope for like aggressive counterplay and hoping for the best, because he thought if he's just waiting around, probably he's going to lose in the long term.
Sure.
So he was
I don't know.
hoping to get some counter chances quickly, but it seemed to have backfired, as yes, he wins a pawn, but for the compensation for that pawn is that this knight is trapped.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, it's not as though Ray played some line to refute what White did. Ray just played the most natural moves, and now it's
Yes.
clear that White's idea just
Yes.
wasn't very good.
Yes. But in any case, I think this bishop e6 line seems to be in very good shape, and we can't really blame that move. That's a little strange, but it seems to work.
Yeah, of course, White was in a lot of danger straight out of the opening here. We'll have to get Ray in if he does manage to win this game and
Yes.
is in the mood to talk to us. To talk
This
about
would be a
this-
huge win for him.
He's
too.
had some crazy performance so far, and it looks as though he's well on his way to another win here.
Yeah.
Sure. And this is the current position we have, I guess?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, Ray deep in thought, trying to find the best way to continue here. Why don't we take a look at what's going on in the B group, actually?
Let's do that.
We've got the B group pairings up here. Aram Hakobian is playing Steven Zierk. Steven, of course, after yesterday managed to defeat Amon Hambleton
Yes.
in what turned out to be a marathon game. They were here, I think, upwards of 6 hours, playing well into the evening. Amon Hambleton has already drawn his game against Alexander Fear. Denis Kadrich is playing Manuel Petrosian in what looks to be a pretty interesting position. We'll have to take a look at that later. Viktor Mihalevsky is playing Vedek Grigorian. And then our key matchup of the day is the Group B leader, Yasser Quesada Perez, and the Group B second place player, Jack Stambuliak, squaring off in this round 7. And these two players, of course, a lot on the line here. This may be Jack's last chance to kind of come back into this tournament and really try to win first place. However, looking at the past few rounds, the trend seems to be in Yasser's favor. He keeps scoring more points, and Jack is floundering a little bit.
Yes. Most definitely. And let's take a look at this position.
All right.
So, black's pieces are a little bit discoordinated, but it's a close position, so who cares?
This looks very Carol Khan-esque as well.
Yes. So, give us an expert opinion.
Expert
How
opinion.
worried you would be here with black.
With black.
White to move.
White to move. So a big problem for black is he's managed to break through on this C file, but somehow he ended up leading with his queen, which is generally not what you want. In general, white can sometimes just consolidate on the C file. If black tries to open it up too quickly and white just doubles his rooks on the C file, it can spell some serious trouble for the black pieces.
Would you be worried as black if you would get this position?
So I would have to do some very specific calculation, I think. I think black's idea is if a move like rook e to c1 were to be played, black is just going to try to trade the queens and then kind of consolidate, maybe go into some kind of endgame where he shouldn't be losing, even if it is slightly worse for him.
So you just predicted what happened exactly.
Right.
Rook c7, knight a7, and I think we can give full props for this move. Black says, okay, take my pawn. I want to develop.
Yeah, this is something to expect. Very often, if black is not getting checkmated in the Caro-Kann, there's always some option to go into an endgame. And endgames are very difficult to win for white in the Caro-Kann, especially with a weak e-pawn like this, and even that h-pawn may come under fire in some lines.
Yeah, definitely. In the long term, passed pawns are good.
Yes.
And in the Caro-Kann, you get plenty of those, as the d-pawns often drop after c5 breaks. And here the d5 pawn is just awesome. So again, Quesada gets the chance to take the pawn. He does so. Knight c6, bishop c5, exchanging rooks. And this has, in some ways, the spirit of the Banco.
The spirit of the Menko.
Yes.
The spirit of sorrow, then.
Oh, spirit of sorrow.
Oh, but you mean
Yes.
pressure along this B
The
file.
pressure along the b file, and the fact that you're down a pawn, but you have real piece pressure on pawns and pawn structures.
Right.
Bishop d6, rook b6. Again, after bishop d6, the situation kind of improves for white, as this pawn gets extra defense, and now the rook can move freely.
Yeah, this bishop kind of on the ideal square on d6. Not only does it defend the e5 pawn, but it also prevents a move like rook b4, which can get kind of annoying attacking that h-pawn.
Yeah, this rook might enter and post itself on e4, and then it's very difficult to defend that pawn after that.
Right.
So rook b6 was played, knight g5, which I actually don't understand. much.
I think White's simply trying to play the move F2, F4, yeah, just to really solidify this pawn on
But
E5.
yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I feel that it's like a jump in the dark.
Yeah, I don't know why this direction for the knight. I
Yes,
kind of
like
agree.
what is it actually doing there? So knight G5, F4 was played, kind of stopping that idea.
Interesting.
F4, rook C1, bishop H6. Interesting decisions. So I guess black might want to take it because this knight is somewhat better than this bishop. Because this knight can hop around into position and is also constantly harassing that E5 pawn.
Yeah, it's an interesting position. In fact, I think the knight might just want to stay on C6. I think black's threat right now is simply to capture this knight and then play king G7, king G6,
Okay, let's see.
king
So
F5.
king F1
Yeah.
takes and just walk up.
Yeah, I'll just come up the board and...
The issue is I can't really kick you out because you just sit.
Yeah, I've got the nice light squares.
And this bishop
In fact,
doesn't do anything because there's only 2 pawns on black squares, the rest is on white squares.
if I were white here, I would actually be seriously concerned that
Yeah.
I'm going to lose this game.
Yeah, it's very
but-
hard to meet this, and we might even ask questions about the E5 pawn as well.
Of course, white doesn't have to allow this, though.
Yeah.
Probably simply knight F3 is the best move, but
Yeah, but
this might admit some defeat with this
yeah.
knight G5 idea.
yeah. And I'm not entirely convinced that this should be like super bad for black, especially king walks could be interesting, or just trying to get rid of this bishop.
Yeah, I really like this idea of just moving this king forward. It seems difficult to stop. Of course, there are some tactics to look out for.
Yeah.
The king can't immediately land on F5 due to rook takes C6. But
Yeah, so here, 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 and this is a no-go because rook takes C6 and we say goodbye,
yes, that may,
which
may be disaster.
I'd say it's hard to miss, but then that kind of reminds me of the game Fear Mihalevsky, where it actually happened. So
Yeah.
guys, do your tactics.
Very important stuff. I know Daro has been doing a lot of that puzzle rush battles on chess.com lately. It's been interesting to watch a player of his caliber do stuff like that, but it's been fun to watch.
So it's actually not that easy to make progress here with white. But because black might be just waiting, you're kind of stuck defending this E5 pawn, and if you start pushing, then you create weaknesses yourselves as well.
Yeah, definitely. That being said, probably just a draw here. Right?
Probably just a draw, but it's like a dynamic equality, so anything could still happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I would assume that there's still
It-
a lot to fight for here.
It feels like the type of position, though, where the player who tries to press very often becomes the player with the worst end of things.
Yes.
Very easy to try to overpress a position like this, I feel. Well, those are our games of the day.
Yeah.
Where do you want to head to next?
Okay, so talking about Alexander Fear, he just drew with Amon Hambleton.
Yes, indeed.
So that's a first move, a first step for Amon to get out of this bad tournament.
Yes. Only a couple more steps to go.
Yes. So actually, let's take a look, because we can still learn from games where we are out of shapes of sorts. So G6, C4, D5. Not surprising. Fear plays the Grunfeld, and Hambleton doesn't refuse it.
All right.
Takes, takes. And this is something to do when you're in poor shape or in poor form. Play the main lines.
Yes.
What could go wrong? Nothing, according to this game. D5.
According to the laws of chess,
The laws of chess.
if you play the main line, you get a good position.
Yes. You build the center. You defend the center.
Very natural stuff.
And you should not be in huge danger, as you're probably going to have a stable center. I don't think that objectively white should fear losing. And in fact, it will never happen. Amon goes and tries to weaken black's position. Black in turn goes and weakens white's position. And you know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're going with this.
More exchanges.
More exchanges. Okay.
exchanges.
All
D6.
the places to go. You went to
Oh
more
my god.
exchanges.
Opposite colored bishop endgame, which is actually a little more pleasant for white,
Yes,
as you
a
can
lot of
potentially.
space around that black king.
Yeah.
But
But objectively, it's just a draw.
understandable.
Takes h3, and the draw has been agreed.
All right. Well, there are some quite imbalanced games going on in the A group, if you're interested in checking that out. It seems as though Malkumian actually has a pretty nice position against Vara Akobian here.
All right, let's take a look. Oh, that king seems to be dancing in the middle.
Dancing in the middle.
And kings are bad dancers. Did you know that?
I did not know that. But yeah, this is something we've seen from Var before, right? He had that game in the Grunfeld where his king got stuck on e1 as well and stayed there until the endgame.
Stuck in the middle with you, yes.
Yes.
So the issue is the queens are better dancers because they can move back and forth. That makes you a great mover.
Okay.
But the big issue is that you have to waste time and your king is still not safe on e2.
Right.
You need at least to play rook d1 and to be totally safe king f1. But that is actually 3 moves. That's a lot.
I agree. If only you could play king f1, rook e1 in one turn and say castles and get away with it.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this guy. He's called Carlson? Magnus.
That's Magnus Carlsen.
So he used to say that if castling takes you 3 moves,
forget about it, right?
Yes. It's like it's dodgy then. So king e2, black might just go rar and immediately try to open up the situation.
Very dangerous.
And especially with this queen totally out of play and not ready to defend the husband on e2, this can get very dicey. So rook d8. And the problem is
rook d1.
Rook d1.
I'll play naturally.
Queen b3. I wanted to put pressure on your king.
Yeah, I'm feeling the heats.
You feel the heat?
I guess I have to play like rook c to d2 and then just king e1 if you give me a check.
Yeah. Actually, computer suggestion is rook d5, which is pretty nasty, as h5 is the threat.
It's just not kind.
No, it's not
It's just
kind.
not kind.
Yes, and
I guess I have to play h4.
h4, but yeah,
But
we
now
can
my queen's on
feel that
h3.
this queen is not doing great there.
No, definitely not.
Var
maybe-
sadly is in big trouble.
I'm not seeing the knockout blow yet for black, but,
No, but
definitely a lot of pressure on this king, on actually both members of the white royalty here.
Yeah.
The king and the queen, both facing some danger from these black pieces.
And the other problem here is that you can't even go to f1 and g1 as the e3 pawn is constantly under pressure.
Yes. Yes.
So,
just a very uncomfortable position.
This
for
is just
Var
very
Akobian here.
uncomfortable. So this will be a tough one to hold, but we've seen Var survive.
Yeah,
Similar
definitely.
in his game against Durai Bailey.
Speaking of kings in the center, though, it looks as though Alexander Bortnik is making his whole castle in the center. He's got all of his pieces around his king, and I'm not sure if it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and we see Bortnik shaking his head, just slightly. He's not trying to show off. But I think he's kind of noticing that even knight d5 stuff might be in the air.
Yeah,
And if knight d5 is a legal idea, then you're sad.
it's quite dangerous.
Yes.
No, I noticed perhaps pawn d5 is also possible.
Maybe I can take.
I meant to, for white. I thought this would be another
it's
idea.
black. Yeah.
But I
White,
guess so many
d5,
moves
yeah.
for white.
So the problem is this
Does
e6
problems.
pawn, super weak. Also, anytime you go here, I take and I just collect.
It is very dangerous.
Let's see, did he actually make a move?
It
Yes,
seems as though
played
he
rook
has.
c7.
Okay.
Okay, so
Still knight d5 is a problem.
first off, this looks like this pawn is a huge issue, both. Can we win the e6 pawn? Can we go like queen e3 of sorts?
Well, yeah, my original idea was to play pawn to d5, and after pawn e5, I wanted to play knight takes h5, but I'm not sure. That's
Yeah, but
probably giving away too much.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
letting black lock up the center.
exactly. Like we have a comfortable pressure on the f4.
Yeah.
I'm with the knight on f4 and the rook on e1 on e6. So d5 actually would help black. I would consider playing queen e3, just winning the pawn. Because black can't move the knight. For one, it's illegal. For two, I would even take a queen if it wouldn't be.
It's the old double pin.
Double pin, yes. Actually, I pulled my queen to e3, so there's no bishop g4 funny business. And to the love of my life, I can't tell what's going to happen and who's going to stop me from taking that e6 pawn.
It's an excellent question, and I don't have the answer for you. I think black is probably just planning to play like king c8 here and hope for the best.
Yeah, so king c8, but then I think I'll take, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess I have to take back, and then you have how many attackers on e7?
A1, a 2, a 3, and a 4th.
I think that's too many.
Yes.
That's too many for black to deal
That's
with.
one too many. Exactly one too many.
And yeah, so this is looking quite good for Ilyas Smearin.
Yeah, so
it'd be a shock if he doesn't manage to win.
it
win
would
this
be
game.
a well-deserved win for Ilyas Smearin, as he's
He's-
been playing very nice fighting chess.
He's had a lot of interesting positions this tournament.
Yeah,
and
and,
a win here would actually bring him back up to 50% overall.
Yeah, which is a very nice score. And hopefully this game will give him some boosts. Because it was a delight seeing his fighting games, even though it didn't really go his way, but they were always entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. And just taking a look at this position here for Vasif Durbaili against Ray Robson.
Coming back to the game of the day.
I feel like the end is nigh.
Yes,
this
this
pawn-
king has been disbanded.
Yes, his pieces have abandoned him.
Yes.
Just they've gone to the king's side, and a knight has appeared on c8s.
Yeah.
But not a lot of friendly pieces around
Yes.
that white king.
I would cry betrayal if I was the white monarch.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the entire black army seems to have made an appearance.
Yes.
So what can you even try here?
I think
you have to play
taking
b
is
takes c3.
Okay, maybe
right?
b4.
b4.
But I'm kind of scared of.
Yeah,
You
running
can't go
into-
c2 because I take you. But
Yeah, I can give a check or two, right? Knight
You can.
b3 check.
okay.
Okay, you came back to that square. Knight d4.
Yeah, just don't run into some counter trickies.
Counter trickies.
Not that it would change the evaluation,
Yeah,
but
I think
why
I'm
do
even
that?
winning after bishop
Yeah.
f1 and bishop b5. But okay, so
Yeah,
my
but,
turn here. So my knight on f1 is serving an important purpose.
Yeah.
Then. What else can I try? Perhaps I don't know, improve my pieces. Bishop d4 or something, attacking the f2 pawn.
Now I know that this one is random, but let me give you a hint for an idea. Bishop
Okay.
d4 is probably pretty good, but I wonder if you know what I'm suggesting. So you remember the famous game Short Timon in the Alekhine.
Very famous. I believe this is the one where Nigel Short, of course, moved his king up the board to deliver checkmate. Is such a thing possible here? You're
think-
suggesting king b5.
Yeah, I was thinking that this might be an interesting idea, but for that one moment, this knight would be useful.
Rejecting
Sadly.
this king's advances.
But let's say knight takes a7, then maybe we could actually do that king journey.
yeah,
And that's why you learn the classics.
yes,
So you actually consider ideas like this.
it is getting a bit silly though.
It does.
There are easier ways to win this game.
Yeah,
than,
but
bringing
on the
this
other
game.
hand, now it's funny. Like the computer says that because of this king c4, king b3 idea, in this specific line, it would be mate in 12 moves.
Wow, the king, a powerful attacking piece.
Yes, in
Don't
the
you
end
forget
game. So never forget about the classics.
Of course, classics that really improve your chess.
Yes.
It seems as though this game got very famous. It's a very unusual situation
Yes.
where the king can walk from g1 to h6.
Yes.
But very often in the endgame, it's not so unusual to see a
Yeah.
king be able to make this journey to create some
I mean,
serious
yeah.
threats.
I mean, the reason I consider this very interesting as c2 bishop b2 mate is kind of picturesque still.
Ah. Yes, of course. c2, bishop takes d2, takes away your
Yeah.
king's flight
Oh,
square.
That's bad here. But after this move, we're going to go c2 bishop b2, and the mate is unstoppable.
Yes.
Which is
However,
pretty amazing.
unfortunately, this is not Fantasyland.
Yeah,
and
this is
the
not.
king is trapped on a6.
Yes, it's trapped on a6. Robson actually played knight c4. Question is what? Bishop
Very-
f1 runs into rook d1 checkmate.
checkmate, of course.
And I guess the c2 bishop b2 is coming.
This looks good enough
This
to me.
looks like the end.
Is there any way to keep the game going at all for White?
No.
No, that's a shame.
Yes.
That is a shame.
So
Another huge win for Ray.
another big win for
Yeah,
Ray Robson.
5 in a row is very, very impressive. And just taking a look at the standings here, that puts him at 5.5 out of 7. And it looks as though his nearest competitor is going to be Jordan van Forest at 4 out of 7. So Ray would be
1.5 point lead.
1.5 points ahead going into the final 2 rounds, needing only to score 1 out of 2 to secure clear first, and only needing to score a half point to at least secure a tiebreak.
Yet he is going to have 2 blacks and 1 white game.
This is true.
So the last 3 rounds are always critical
Right.
and the easiest to falter.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. There's a saying in soccer, which I used to play on my high school soccer team. And the most dangerous score
Manchester
in,
City?
No, just high school stuff. But,
Just the high school version.
the most dangerous score in
Okay.
soccer is when you're ahead 2-0, because that's when you get complacent, and then
yes.
very quickly
Yes.
the game becomes 3-2,
Yeah.
not in your favor.
Yeah.
So definitely, Ray still has some work to do this tournament, but looking very good for him.
Yeah,
coming out of today.
5.5 out of 7. And there we see Mr. Tony Rich, the arbiter of this event,
Yes, Tony Rich, I believe.
looking at the potential win of Ray Robson.
I believe we were graced with Mike Cummer's presence yesterday, and
Yes.
T. Rich today. The A team really getting it done for the Fall Chess Classic up there, making sure everything is on the up and up in the tournament hall.
And we didn't talk about the guy who brought his purple yet again.
Yes, Dennis Kedrich bringing his very colorful hoodie. It brought
Yes.
him luck yesterday.
Yes.
Let's see if it can do the same today over in the B group.
And it's crazy town over there.
Crazy town.
Yes. So it's getting less and less crazy, but let's move backwards a little bit so we see a bit of crazy.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see where the crazy occurred.
So Petrosians thought that knight f4, knight g5 would be fun. But Kadrich said, hey, I didn't bring my purple hoodie just for nothing. I want
Bishop
action.
e5. A
yeah.
very crazy sacrifice.
Yeah.
The idea being this bishop controls the very important f5 square,
Yes.
which white intends to make use of.
Yes, and after takes, bam!
Rook takes g7.
This was the reason. You can't take because knight f5, and the knight says hello to the royal family, yet again.
Yes.
So Petrosian, as good player he is, moved the king away.
King h8, very responsible.
Rook takes b5, and yes, white is up a pawn, but Petrosian says, hey, if you gave me that file, I'll use it. Hello! White king, rook g8.
Okay.
Rook g4. If you would take, that would be the end, as I would just outnumber you.
Yeah, this is a common mistake you see sometimes. When you play the move rook takes g8, you're not trading the g7 rook for the g8 rook.
Yeah.
You're trading the g7 rook for the a8 rook,
Yeah.
which is a significantly worse trade. The a8
Yes.
rook at first did not contribute anything to the attack, but after this trade is now serving the best purpose that it possibly can.
And this would be a huge advantage for Petrosian. Just compare the usefulness between these two rooks. This rook is happy on the open file. This rook is really sad, staring at pawns
Yes.
that it could never take.
Very
also, king h2 runs into this cute little tactics. Boom!
The checkmate.
The checkmate, yes. The famous
good.
checkmate. And so Kajedrich played rook g4, trying to hold on, but Petrosian is on fire. Plays knight takes h3. You can't really take because I'll go h5 in the near future, and I mate you.
Forcing this unfavorable trade.
Yes. So
So,
Kadrich played king h2, bringing the purple.
yes, bringing the purple, as well as he's got quite a lot of colors on that hoodie. I don't know if we should have stuck with purple. He's got a
Purple dominates.
whole lot of paint splatters.
A lot, that's true. So this king h2 was a pretty nice practical choice, as it's not that easy to find the right continuation here for black.
Sure.
There's so many attractive alternatives.
So how did this variation work out then?
So queen f2 was pretty good still.
Right.
The attack is still raging.
Makes sense.
Rook g5.
White just simply captures this knight with this king.
Yes. So this rook h5 check would be deadly. So white decided to capture, because why not? Knight takes g5, king h2. Now, Kadrich is a brave player, but still he wouldn't go king g4.
Yes,
This is not the endgame.
fortune does not always favor the bold
Yeah.
in this case.
King h2, queen
Oh.
h1.
And really quickly, I want to jump
Yeah.
in. We have some breaking news in the A group. Ilyas Smearin has actually defeated Alexander Bortnik in his game.
And as I see, Ray Robson also won.
Oh
his
my
game.
goodness, all the games coming to a close right after we took a look at them. So yeah, hopefully we can get a couple of those players down here for an interview. It'd be great to hear especially Ilyas' thoughts. I don't think we've had him in the studio yet. And of
Definitely.
course, Ray Robson, our Group A leader, doing it again. We would love to talk to him.
Who's 5 out of 5?
5 out of 5. But really, 5.5 out of 7. You can't ignore the first two rounds.
Well, yeah, but even if you go 5 out of 5 in the middle of the tournament, that's noteworthy.
it's pretty good.
That's actually the first moment I noticed our recent US women's champion, Jennifer Yu, when I saw her win her 5 out of 5 games in the last 5 rounds in her previous championship.
Yes.
And that was the moment I noticed that she has great potential, and probably she's going to be a multiple times champion.
Definitely. Especially, getting the first championship before, I don't know, even leaving the teenage years.
Exactly,
It's
that's
crazy.
remarkable.
I can't imagine being a U.S. champion right now. With that in mind, we did kind of cut off Dennis's game a little bit
Yes.
short. How about
Let's
we,
respect the Dennises.
Yes, gotta see how this game is shaking out here. Looks like that white king did manage to find its way
Yeah.
back home to G1.
Yes.
But what's going on?
So
White
queen
is
e2.
up a piece, but there is still
There's
this
a raging
dangerous,
attack going on.
dangerous attack
So queen e2 has to be played, otherwise you lose your queen.
defending the F2 square as
So
well.
if I play something random, I'll just take your queen.
Of course.
And if you go king f1, I say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Queen f2.
Yes.
So queen e2, queen takes e4, and this turns out to be inaccurate, as black had to go queen f4,
Of
setting
course.
up knight f3 and knight h3 ideas. And this probably would have been very, very strong.
Never take free pawns.
Yes. Queen takes e4, king f1, running away, still he can, f5, queen c4, f4, takes, and you're almost at the game. Knight takes e4 was played, knight d1, knight g3, and probably king e1 will be played. And those pawns on e5, f4 are pretty strong, but not that white doesn't have chances to survive, as he has an extra piece.
Right, all right. Well, while we wrap up looking at this game, I believe Ilyas Smearin is actually ready to come into the studio.
All right.
So I will pop out of my chair here while we switch him back in.
Okay. Let me find Ilya's game. So this was a classical modern variation played by Bortnik. E4 was played by Smearin, G6, knight C3, D6, bishop E3, A6, queen D2. Honestly, not surprised with the bishop E3, queen D2 play chosen by Ilyas Smearin, because this is the most aggressive, most fighting position you can have against the modern.
Sit down, Kevin. Where? Here.
Yeah.
Speak here. Oh, no. Here.
Yeah. So knight d7, h4, h5. And so far very typical Um,
Yeah, actually it's typical, and here is a usual plan to put knight on g5 where it's
yeah.
limited.
So we have Ilyas Smearin in studio. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
So please let us know how the game went.
Game went rather smoothly, I would say, for me, because I think I like keep my strategical idea towards the end. I mean, till the end.
Yeah.
So it was my idea to cramp him and to crush after
Yeah.
that. Somehow it worked.
Kind of, I felt that this was like the perfect choice for you to play this bishop e3, queen d2 system.
Yeah,
You seem to be the most aggressive player of the field almost.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
But I'm not overly aggressive.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
So actually, I like to play Pirk sometimes with both colors, and actually I have
Decent results.
with both colors. Let's say.
So how dangerous is this for black, this system, roughly?
In my opinion, Pirk is not entirely correct. I mean, from philosophical point of view, it's maybe not completely correct, but it's interesting opening.
Yeah.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
which gives black chances for counterplay. But of course, it's very dangerous for black from strategical point of view because give up the center and difference with King Indian that King's Indian that pawn on c2, not on c4. So white center maybe it's not so powerful, but it's also
It's safer.
Safer, yeah.
Yeah.
Not easy
attack,
to
yeah.
undermine
Yeah.
it.
So I still have to mention this. What would Leonid Stein say about the modern? Because I'm actually really
said?
Leonid Stein.
Leonid Stein, yes.
Yeah, because I'm very happy to see someone next to me who's also a fan of Leonid Stein.
I'm a huge fan of him, of course, Leonid Stein. I mean, fantastic player. I looked for his game. I mean, I was very impressed when I was like 15 years old. And it was a Russian book by Lazarev and Stein, I think, which was about Leonid Stein. Also his biography, short biography. And I was impressed by his game. And after, when I had chance, I studied all his game in database, and it was fantastic player. And I think my style is maybe a little bit similar to him. There are two favorite players for me for all the time. It's Mikhail Tal, not only because of his formidable chess success and unbelievable genius, but also for which human being he was. He used to be. With his sense of humor. I was lucky that I still played with him once, and also I have some conversation a little bit with him. And of course, I'm probably those two players, Leonid Stein and Mikhail Tal, they impressed me most of all.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the game.
Yeah.
It's very impressive stuff. So knight h3. Where is this knight headed?
On g5.
g5.
It seems that he is doing nothing, but from the other side, it's very annoying for black because sometimes it's attack on g7, on f7, and also protects in some variation on e4, and also it's impossible to drive him out, drive him away after h5.
Yes. And you never want to go f6 because knight just jumps to e6 and it's over.
Even if knight will return on h3, f6.
It still would be amazing.
Yeah.
So rook c8.
Rook c8, in my opinion, maybe move provocative. Maybe he should play something else. But actually, I don't like too much bishop b7 already saying true, because bishop has not much to do on b7. I would play something else, maybe knight b6. I mean, previous move.
A previous move.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe immediate. Or maybe h6 here.
h6.
Also, it's idea.
So
I think Peter Swidler, I think, played it in similar position with black. Just not too loud with plan, because with plan I faced in a couple of blitz games myself with black, and I felt it's very annoying. So I played knight h3, and after it was a couple of interesting moments. Knight g5. No, I mean, what was in the game? h6, I think it's better version.
So h6 is better. All right, so bishop b7. I have a feeling that your opponent was expecting you to castle, but then was surprised to see a4.
Yeah, no, castle, it's possible, but why to give black counterplay?
That's true.
a4, I saw this line before bishop c4, very important move, just to develop.
Yeah.
So he cannot take on c3, so bishop...
Just showing the audience.
Here I can take, or I can even take on c3 with queen, also
Yeah,
possible.
That's also it's just very winning, yes.
And so he should play e6 and knight e2, c5. And here I think I made strong move. Bishop a2, prophylactic. I don't know what computer says about it. Didn't check it yet. But in my opinion, it's quite strong. Just not letting him any counterplay.
Yeah.
So he
no
played,
trickies.
Yeah. So he played a5.
A5, rook d1.
Rook, no, yes, I wanted to play. I wanted to play like f4, f5, but I didn't want him to play c4, b3, and bishop to put bishop on b1 with my rook on a1.
Yeah, that would get
rook
stuck.
would be
Yeah.
rook would be stuck. Maybe
Yeah.
it would be strong anyway, but I decided to play bishop b1 because I have supremacy in the center and he has no counterplay actually whatsoever. So rook d1, it's a strong
d1.
move in my opinion.
So now you can bring the bishop here.
He played c4. No, what else he can do? Hard to say.
Yeah, c3.
c3, b3, bishop b1. Yeah, bishop like, but he will come alive and all my pieces.
Yeah, and this is just
I can
staring
give up.
at the wall.
I can give up with pawn on a4 because f4, f5 he wouldn't he couldn't sustain this. This.
Yeah, so knight d7 and you start rolling with.
Yeah, f4 it's important maybe because if he will play d5 maybe.
Let's say castle d5.
Yeah, castle d5. Yeah.
And he might take and have a d5 square if you.
Yeah, but it's not such formidable attack for white.
No, it's not that great anymore.
So f4, I mean, here I decided to hurry a little bit. Now if d5, of course f5 immediately.
Yeah, obviously f5 and you're breaking through.
He will probably fall apart.
Yeah.
So he played
f6.
Knight f6, which is logical. Castle.
Castle.
Bishop h6 and f5 anyway.
And f5, yes. And it seems to be collapsing as this bishop is not defending it anymore. And this is a big
seems
threat.
to be a lost position simply for black.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I played the best move, but rather.
Yeah, it seemed very
rather
logical,
convincingly.
Yeah. So rook f6.
Yeah.
Knight f4.
If queen d7 is when simple rook e1.
Yeah.
So he played king d7.
Yeah.
And rook
f7, and this double pin is kind of nasty.
He cannot move. Rook e8. Here I could play maybe something else, but I played rook e1.
Rook e1 is logical.
Rook e1 is logical.
Yeah. And why not just take the pawn?
Yeah, queen e3. Queen e2 maybe slightly.
Yeah.
But queen e3, I saw this variation that actually black completely tied up.
Yeah.
So
Can't
hard to move. I mean.
Yeah.
Knight e6, just time to rip. How to say rip off? Rip.
It's
harvest.
just harvesting all the pawns. Yeah.
No, okay.
And a very nice, straightforward win.
Actually, very smooth game without much. Without much mistakes from my side, I would say.
Yeah. So you had many, many interesting Benoni games. And
King Indians mostly.
Mostly, yes.
Some Benoni,
Yeah. I mean, but in this recent tournament, very interesting. And
in recent tournament, I started to play badly, but after I missed, completely winning position against Jordan Van Forest. Was winning few times. And last time it was an elementary win in the endgame, but somehow I didn't make it.
But you're now back in the groove with this win, and there's 3 more rounds left to go. Two. Yeah, actually 2. Yeah.
3 would be too much for me.
Right. So after a short break, we'll be back. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
When you visit St. Louis, you'll probably want to watch the Cardinals or the Blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the blues their name at the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the Blues, or the blues, come play with us. Hey, you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
Is that you, Mr. Matheny?
Can we get your autograph?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's pretty cool that you love chess so much. We love chess too.
I joined my school's chess program and got to meet a real-life grandmaster.
I got a trophy this big.
One time, I played a police captain after school and checkmated him in 27 moves.
Wow, I should be asking for your autographs. Check out all chess has to offer at stlouischessclub.org.
Be surprised, be intrigued, be delighted. The World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis is nothing you'd expect and everything you love. 3 galleries highlight the history, culture, and creativity behind the game. Explore chess in ways you never imagined. It's a one-of-a-kind cultural institution where rare artifacts and world-class art play together. The World Chess Hall of Fame. Mind, art, experience.
A question on Twitter from Damas. I should not have pronounced that. That was a bit of a trap, yeah?
For those of you who are new to chess, it might look like ba3 is an illegal move here because white advances pawn 2 squares, not 1. But it's a little something we call en passant. And you can do that, but you have to do it instantly. You can't wait for a move, like let's say play king e7, king g2, and now try, because I'm gonna do it.
I'm sorry. This is too funny for words.
This is a software glitch? I'm pretty sure there's not allowed.
Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence. Yeah, I'll play 4 against Lawrence. And now he's going to play something against me which we discussed at length during the course of my stay. Yeah, he told me this is excellent. d5, this was what I was kind of hoping for, because now I think e5 is quite strong. No, Lawrence, this is not how chess works. Sadly, it would be much, much more fun if chess actually worked like this. But I don't think it does. Or maybe it does. Well, that's me regretting what I just said. How did I get from there to here?
All right, welcome back everybody to more coverage of the Fall Chess Classic. I have a very special guest here with me in the studio. Ryan, I believe you have a golden opportunity for the viewers at home.
I do. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here. What we're trying to do are sell raffle tickets, these golden tickets, to raise money for our Scholastic program. So all the money that we raise from this will go towards our Scholastic programs, towards teaching chess in schools, towards doing research to find out what chess does for you in other aspects of your life, and other aspects of your schoolwork. But not only that, it's a 50-50 raffle. So for $50, you get a golden ticket. $5,000 will go to the Scholastic, the chess club, and then $5,000 will go to one lucky winner.
A wonderful cause.
Thank you, yes. We only have 45 of these tickets left. We've already sold over 150.
But Ryan, our viewers at home aren't going to be in the St. Louis area. What will they do if they win the raffle?
Doesn't matter. You know, anywhere. We've sold tickets for all over the world for this. So we're drawing the tickets during our golf tournament, but you don't need to be present to win. It'll be on September 30th, probably around 5:30, Central Time. And then we'll call you with a wonderful news that you have won the golden ticket.
Absolutely.
And you win $5,000. So there's only a few of these left. It all goes towards the Classics, and the rest of it goes to one lucky winner.
All right, Ryan. Then where are these going to be drawn?
So they're drawn at the golf tournament, but you can go to our website. It's very clear. Just go to the website. It'll be the first thing on the page. It's a golden ticket. Click on it. It is not something that you want to pass up because $5,000 is a lot of money. It's also a very good cause. So we're trying to get the help from the chess community because we think that everyone who's watching agrees that chess is helpful, agrees that chess is good for kids, and this is directly going to that.
Absolutely. And I hear there might be some big names they'd be competing against in these raffles.
There is. There's
any famous players?
Maxime Vachier-Legrand.
Wow,
one of them.
MVL
But several
in
of
the
these.
golden ticket raffle?
Yasser, Jen, Shahade, Alejandro, Maurice, everybody has bought these so far.
Yeah,
so.
Certainly good company to be in,
Yes, it is.
viewers
Yes,
at home. If you would like to support the club, support Chess in Schools, our Scholastics program, be sure to head over to stlouischessclub.org. It'll be very clear. Just click on the golden ticket image and buy yourself your golden ticket for a chance to win.
$5,000.
And now, $5,000, absolutely. And now we're going to take another quick short break. When we come back, be sure to stay tuned. We will be joined by the one and only Ray Robson.
You may have heard about St. Louis's world-class museums. Art, history, science, even magic. But you may not know we have an entire museum dedicated to play, with a 10-story slide and a Ferris wheel on top. Don't let all this family fun slide by you. Whose kids it is? St. Lou is always exploring. Anybody?
No matter your age or skill level, chess is a great game to learn and play. The St. Louis Chess Club offers affordable memberships for families, students, and individuals. There's so much going on at the club with lectures, classes, ladies' nights, and tournaments. In addition, there's always a grandmaster in residence to help teach, learn, and play. Come join us at the St. Louis Chess Club and see what chess has to offer.
Welcome back to the Full Chess Classic, and we have the leader who has won 5 games in a row, Ray Robson. How did this game go for you? It looked very smooth.
Well, it went very well. He surprised me in the opening. I was mostly expecting e4. I know he can play the English. But yeah, e4 seems to be usually his main move. And also it's tricky playing against Vasif because we've actually practiced a lot together, so we know each other's openings and styles quite well. So there's a little bit of trying to figure out what the other person is trying to go for. But yeah, c4 I decided to just be solid, c6.
Preparing b5.
Yeah, because I don't know, as far as I knew, he didn't play into the Slav that much with white. And so here he didn't go for that. He did play e4.
And now it's a Panov.
Yeah, or he also has the option, so d5, yeah, take, and he can play d4 like he did, transposing to the Panov, or he could take on d5 and play some other tricky lines, maybe try to hang out to the pawn.
Check, or knight c3,
But he just went for d4, so clearly he had something prepared. Obviously I wasn't expecting this line, but I just continued normally, knight f6, knight c6, and I expected he'd play bishop g5 because that's the sharpest line here. And I mean, I don't know that much about this position. I used to play it with white, at least a little bit. I think I played it once or twice, once actually against Farakobian. And I think he actually did play bishop e6 against me, as I did here. And I remember back then, and this was like 2011 or so, I noticed that people were doing well with the move g3. And so I thought, I mean, it would be a good idea for white, just putting the bishop on g2. And then I saw the engine says that black can just take c4 and black is better. And the point is now bishop takes f6. There, because of the move g3, instead of ef6, which allows d5, and white just wins a piece with the fork, black plays bishop d5.
That's a nice little move.
Yeah, and hitting the rook, and still white's bishop is going to be hanging, so even if you take on d5, queen takes d5, still both pieces are hanging, and black should be doing great. So, I remember that much, but obviously I still check during the game to make sure my queen's not getting trapped or something. And also, I assume that he might not take an f6. Of course, he might play bishop g2 like he did, and I had no clue about this position. I just assumed black should be doing well enough.
So everyone was kind of freestyling from here on out.
He wasn't free. I mean, he prepared this apparently.
Oh, he prepared it.
Yes. So yeah, here now he is threatening to take on f6 and d5. So mostly I was considering whether to play knight d5 or bishop d5. Knight, yeah.
d5 might just give away the bishops, and this might get unopposed.
Yeah, I mean, bishop d5 is definitely less ambitious. He can take or even just knight f3 first. Actually, I thought maybe just knight f3. And yeah, I mean, maybe I can equalize, but probably white's not really risking much. Whereas after knight d5, it's still, white's still down a pawn. It has to justify.
Also, this bishop is kind of doing nothing there anymore because it never threatens to take. Is the knight moved?
At the moment, yeah, it's not doing too much. But the reason I spent a long time is because after knight d5, at some point I realized he'll probably play knight e2, and I want to continue with just g6, bishop g7. After g6, I was bothered by knight f4 here. Yeah, pressuring d5, and the point is, after I, let's say, take on f4, bishop f4, once the d5 square is cleared, now he's always threatening d5 and can't actually stop it. He has way too many pieces on that square. And I mean, if I take on d4, he has moves like bishop e5, so it probably just doesn't even work. So this knight f4 maneuver was what was bothering me. Yeah, and that's why I was thinking a long time before playing knight d5. Eventually, I mean, of course, I saw I could play h6, force the bishop back, but still, I wasn't sure what it would do because bishop e3. Now, if I play g6, still knight f4.
Yeah, g6 allows knight f4.
So eventually I hit upon this idea of just playing g5. Not my first idea because obviously it's weakening my position, but just playing g5 to control the f4 square and just putting my bishop on g7 and saying that even though I made this weakness, the rest of my position is strong enough. I have a stronghold on d5 now, and I believed I should be okay here.
Maybe this is the only moment we could say playing 960 can help you improve your game. Because g5 actually is a typical move of just trying to take away squares, which is very typical in the 960 games. I don't know if you agree with that, because you might have played some 960
I have played some
recently.
960. I haven't noticed that, like, about the g5 or g4 moves being especially strong. But I mean, this position is already kind of more random looking than a normal chess game is. So. Yeah, I was definitely completely on my own, and I was happy to find this idea. At least I felt more comfortable about the position now.
So h4.
Yeah, h4 makes sense if he doesn't. I mean, I guess the other break could be f4, but he can't do it because of my knight, and he never wants to exchange. That would just increase my control of the light square. So h4 made sense, bishop g7, and here he spent a long time. Apparently, he had analyzed the position up to h4, and he had prepared against rook g8.
Oh, rook g8, interesting.
And which I didn't consider too much because it does hang on to the pawn, but it is more risky. I mean, with bishop g7, potentially I can still castle kingside, or at the very least we're going to exchange rooks, so neither side will be able to castle that way. With rook g8, I'm just giving him the open h-file.
But bishop g7 is more of the spirit of like these fianchetto positions, like Grunfeld and stuff like that. You give away the pawn, but you get the initiative. So
yeah, exactly. Kind of like the opposite of some Moscow gambit variations where black can just play b5, let white take c6 and queen b6 and just get all the pieces out.
Yeah. So that's So Petrosian won against Kadrich. So the purple hoodie didn't succeed this time.
Very colorful hoodie.
A pretty colorful hoodie indeed. So let's come back to this game and let's fast forward to the critical moment.
Okay, I have one remark is after bishop g7, he spent a long time finally because obviously he hadn't looked at it, and I thought he really had to take on g5 here, take, and take on g5 again, getting back the pawn, and I thought he is actually fine. I figured I'm probably fine as well, but
you have a good control of the center.
I do, but it's quite tricky. For example, one move I'd like to play is just queen d7, preparing castling.
Castle.
Then he might play bishop takes d5, which is not the first thing you'd think of, and then knight f4. And now, yeah, there's some problems with the bishop. d5 is coming if the bishop moves, and there's also queen coming to h5 in some lines.
Hitting the bishop.
Hitting the bishop, hitting f7 in some positions as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was not clear to me at all.
Yeah, a funny way of losing a bishop would be
yes.
to put it on h1 and you take the bishop. All right, so let's look at the game.
Well, I think at this point I'm up 2 pawns. He can, of course, get one back at some point, take g5 or a7 or something, but I'll still be able to maintain the pawn advantage, and I also have good pieces. So at this point, I'm clearly better.
So knight d5, but this was a jump into the fire.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I saw he had the move knight d5, but honestly, I mean, at first I calculated a tiny bit, but then I just only looked at other moves because I figured knight d5 just simply can't work. I mean, if the knight's going to e7, even if I'm not trapping it, it's just stuck there. I'm still going to be up at least a pawn, and just positionally, I should be winning somehow. And that's exactly what happened. I just took. I didn't try to trap the knight, but I just played bishop to a4, which at least practically I think was very strong. And now it's just like white's down a pawn, his knight is stuck, and he has really no moves. No way to get the knight out immediately, and there's always back rank problems. If his rook leaves the back rank, then I have rook d1 check, and I have a mating net on his king.
So eventually all your pieces corralled the king. And even here we kind of considered this. He has this check, but if you would ever reach this, even that would be super dangerous.
Then king to a2, knight b3.
Knight b3, checkmate this.
Yeah.
So knight c4.
Then knight c4, and I already, of course, saw this idea. Very, very unusual mate.
And this c2 is a very nice way to finish, because bishop b2 is impossible to stop.
Yeah, bishop b2 and rook d1.
And rook d1.
Unstoppable dual threat.
So big win for you. How do you feel after winning the 5th game in a row?
I mean, I feel pretty good. I don't think, I mean, it's very unusual, I mean, for anyone to win like 5 games against everyone who's basically at least 2,600. And of course, nothing like this has ever happened to me either. Maybe the closest was in Mongolia. I played a tournament where I did very well, but I wasn't winning like 5 in a row. Maybe I finished +5, but it wasn't just one after the other. So I don't know. I don't know why it's happening. I mean, I think I'm playing pretty well, but and actually 4 out of the 5 games I'd say I deserved to win. Like I was just playing better throughout most of the game. The one game, which was the exception, maybe was against Lenderman, where I didn't deserve to lose or anything, but I was defending most of the game and would have thought the most likely outcome was a draw. But again, I managed to keep going and win that one too, somehow.
All right. So keep it going, and best of luck for the rest of the rounds. And see you next time.
All right, thanks.
We're getting back in, and let's take a look at what games are still in progress. Let's take a look at the Melkumian game. Melkumian Akobian. Whoa, it changed a lot. It's interesting. So last time we saw the king, it was waltzing in the middle on d1. But since then, it found a healthy panacea on a2, which is kind of a nice achievement. Let's take a look how this transpired. So we left off around knight g6, queen g3, c5, rook c2, around here.
Yeah, and we thought White was in a lot of trouble
Danger,
here.
yes.
A lot of danger.
But queen a6 was played, which is weird. Honestly, I would love to have my queen around your king.
Yeah, me as well. Maybe Black was hoping to open the c file somehow.
Yeah. Queen a6 is, as Caleb points out, defends the c8 rook, but the king is not that far away from safety on the queen side.
Yeah, he made a run for it.
Yes, and he ran.
Succeeded.
Like the royalty must if it feels responsibility for their nation.
Yes.
Queen G. queen g4.
The king did not pay for his crimes.
Yes,
against
and the king ran
the White
away.
Army.
Because if you're a monarchist, you must have the king alive. And it actually will survive on a2.
Yes. Fled to Monaco,
Yes,
as they
it
say.
fled to Monaco, indeed. Rook c1, queen g3, check. Rook a8, and suddenly, white is all right. The king has a safe square here.
Black does have this extra pawn, but it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be very useful. And now, actually, it's the white pieces that are to be preferred. I mean, piece activity-wise, definitely prefer
Like
the
knight
white
e5, knight d7 ideas might actually come.
Yeah, very natural squares for the knight.
So
and,
h5 is kind of a move showing a sign of desperation that, oh my god, the situation changed for the worse.
Please trade queens with me.
Yes.
Please trade queens with me.
And
But,
Var says no, no queen trades.
Yes.
King a2, finally bringing the king into total safety. Queen e2 takes, queen e4, rook c7, rook g6. And the position is still crazy. There's no rook g1 yet because the knight covers that. But if white ever manages to go knight g5, but you can't do it right now because queen d5 would just take. That's a nasty little check right there.
Right. It's, I don't know, everything seems very, very touchy here for
Yes,
both sides.
it's very touchy. And this queen is very well placed, but we would like to get close to this f8 knight somehow.
Yeah, you can
Actually,
imagine.
maybe rook c8. Let's rook c8.
Well, my thinking was I wanted this rook on c7 because
C7?
otherwise black would love to play a move like rook g3 hitting this knight, and I wanted to have queen f7 check in case of that. I don't know if that's actually the most important feature
So
in the
maybe
position, but
I could make a weird move like h4.
yeah, I just want to pass. I
No,
don't
I'm
want to
passing,
touch my
like,
pieces.
all of my pieces are, or maybe king a1. Maybe this is the weirdest.
Yes, this one might actually threaten knight g5, right?
Yeah, this might actually threaten knight g5.
But then I'm still not totally following what the follow-up is.
Yeah,
with
king
knight
a1
g5,
is a bit too mysterious, though. So h4 is more interesting. Because indeed, as Caleb points out, you can go here because check and I'll take stuff.
Yeah, although I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
The more I look at it, maybe
But
you take my
now
stuff too.
I
and
might
then-
have knight g5.
Okay. Yeah, so perhaps h4 then is important, giving
Yes.
the knight this square.
So, how about queen f5 or queen d5? Takes. I'm not sure. Because I like the activity on black side. This pawn can be potentially very dangerous. What do you think, Caleb?
This endgame specifically, yeah, I'm inclined to prefer the black side here.
Yeah, because this f pawn might be strong.
Yeah, the f pawn looks strong. The d pawn on d4 actually looks a little bit susceptible. Of course, black is just a couple moves away from playing something like king f7, followed by knight e6, and then already the f pawn is rolling, the d pawn is attacked, and white's on the back foot.
Yeah. On the other hand, white is pressuring black a little bit, and if the knight could help out somehow and do that without losing the game immediately, without letting this pawn run too far.
It seems...
It's a bit dicey. It's a bit dicey. So anyways, Kobian did something similar. He played a4 and not h4.
Right.
With the same thought that, I'm not sure what you're going to do. Pass. Your turn.
Fair enough.
And indeed, queen d5 happened here, and we actually have the exact same position. Probably this is an improvement to our lines.
Yeah, an improvement for white.
Yes.
Because his extra pawn is on the queen's side here.
Yeah.
And so a4 gets that one step closer to becoming a passed pawn in its own right and creating threats on that side of the board.
Yeah, potentially white could go b4, even rook c3, and then hope to push that a pawn. So practically, maybe this is a position where I would prefer white just a little bit.
Well, yeah, white to move. I'm tempted to play a move like, let's see, knight e5 here. And then these threats of rook c8 followed by something like knight d7 are becoming a lot more real.
Okay,
if
so I
black
want
isn't very
to
careful.
push the f pawn.
Sure. Seems reasonable enough. But rook c3 perhaps. I'll just guard that square dutifully.
Knight e6.
Yeah, rook d3. Oh, you're gonna do mean things to me. I see it happening already.
Probably not.
I was thinking knight g5.
Knight g5.
And then my idea was h4, but I thought you were going to play f3. And that was the mean thing that I suspected.
It turns out this is great for you.
Yeah, perhaps.
Which is
perhaps not quite good enough.
Amazing.
All right. Well, maybe
because
it's not so bad for me then.
Yeah, because there's no queen c4 check, and if you move here, stopping me from checking, I still have another one.
Check.
Oh, not that one.
And queen.
This one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
So very interesting endgame over there.
Yeah, I think that Okubian has slightly preferable chances. What will exactly happen? Not sure. It could still fizzle into a draw, but I mean, this a-pawn seems more dangerous than this f.
Yeah, of course, there's the principle of the outside passed pawn.
Yes.
The a-pawn is much farther away from the center of the board, so it's a lot, you really have to sideline your pieces in order to try to stop it. Speaking of endgames, though, there's an interesting one, I believe, going on between Quesada Perez and Shambuliak in our key matchup of the day in the B group. So why don't we take a quick look and see what's going on here.
And danger, danger.
Yes,
the
danger
Caro-Kann
indeed.
strikes.
It's a strong opening, Dennis. Yes. I must say, it's a strong opening.
It wasn't actually a Caro-Kann, it was a modern, but it's a modern turned into a Caro-Kann.
It may as well have been a Caro the whole time.
Yes. So we kind of left it around here. Black wanted to get rid of that bishop.
Right.
That would also weaken this pawn.
Yeah,
White
mainly
said
Black
no.
just wanted to get rid of his own bishop, I think.
Yeah.
He was like, can I take your knight? No, okay, can I take your bishop? But he keeps getting denied.
Yeah. And denial is hard, even in chess.
Rejection is tough to face.
Yes. a4, bishop e7, and now the king starts its mighty walk. But then that this bishop really has no place to go. And suddenly, it's Stambuliak who's playing for the win.
This happens so often in the Caro-Kann, where you reach an endgame, and then all of a sudden, all of Black's moves come very, very naturally, and the white player starts to suffer some pressure.
And this is very uncomfortable for White, as these pawns start roaming, and also this extra majority is not a majority anymore.
Yeah, and of
as
course,
I might just walk up and take you.
Yeah, the Black king so much closer to the action than the White king. Going to be a lot of danger here for White.
Yes.
What position do we have currently, though?
So we currently have this position. Interesting that Black actually goes back. Why? Ah, I see. So I can go king c5 because f3, and I'll take the e5 pawn.
Okay.
But still,
I mean,
what about king d5?
Yeah, king d5 seems totally reasonable to me. And I don't know. I would think Black has chances to win this game here.
Yeah, I have that same feeling. But okay, so he went back.
Maybe just repeating once.
Yeah.
You could also play a move like e4 here, maybe.
E4. Wouldn't that drop that pawn on f4 and potentially that one?
Maybe it would. Maybe it would. I'm just trying to find Black's reasoning here.
How about we start collecting pawns? Let's go back. Let's go. King f1. Maybe knight d7, knight c5. Is that an idea? That looks reasonable.
Yeah. If possible, maybe I want to go to e4 instead, but I haven't calculated that king and pawn.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that this one's winning. Could be great, but why calculate? Why not just take the pawn?
Because e4 is a better square, and you got to play accurately.
Yeah, that's a fair argument, but why not just...
Okay, so knight d7 maybe. King e2, knight c5 would be a very serious problem for White.
I have big chances of winning that pawn. So
let's see what's going on in the game. It seems as though Black did just want to repeat the one time and has now
did play
played
king
d5
d5 instead, king f1, which was a mistake. It turns out that knight d8, knight b7 would have been better.
Interesting.
I guess the
Pointing
point.
out that, maybe black's pawn is not so safe either.
Yeah, so if you go king b4, I have knight c6 check.
Okay.
And I can take the pawn before you munch on all of my pawns.
Right. And once all the pawns are on the same side of the board,
Yeah.
it does become a lot more difficult to win.
Yes. But white played king f1, rushed, and you should never rush in endgames.
Right. They're
very, very...
And they're so concrete as
Yes,
well.
they're very concrete, and you have to be super precise to actually win a delicate position.
The advice that I always heard is that if you struggle in the endgame, yes, you can study specific endgames and try to improve at that, but probably the main reason for that is you actually struggle with calculation. It's deep calculation in the endgame that really ends up converting to full points. And so that's what you should really train in order to improve.
Yeah. So knight f6, and either if you want to go the Caleb way, you could go knight e4, setting up this double threat.
Gotta love the central squares.
Or if you want to be more conservative and go my way, you can go knight d7, knight c5.
Sure.
And from those two, you should be able to find the one that you like most.
Well, let's play some moves here, actually. Is white just simply losing? Is black going to take all of these pawns?
So let's go knight d8.
Okay, and knight e4.
Knight e4.
Since I get to play the move.
Yes. So let's go knight e4. This is annoying.
Yeah, you're not in time with knight b7
I want to go knight
anymore.
b7, but then it drops the pawn, and I think I'm just lost because you'll take that pawn, and you have an extra pawn on the other side.
Yeah, really, the king on f1 proving itself to be a horrible detriment to white's position.
So I feel that this is a big chance for Stambuliak to bounce back. And
this would be incredible for the Group B standings. If Jack were to win this game, he would actually tie his opponent, Yasser Quesada Perez, in the lead for the B group with 5 out of 7.
Yes. And I guess with Petrosian winning...
Yeah, Petrosian did win his game as well, putting him at 4 out of 7. And so that puts Dennis, who was the next closest chaser, still back at 3.5. And then lastly, the other important game that we have not seen yet is this game between Aram Hakobian and Steven Zierk. Steven is the other player with 3.5 out of 6 and a chance to jump up to just a half point behind the leaders with a win today. But that's not looking like the case here, is it?
No, Zierk looks to be in big trouble.
Yeah, deep trouble.
Let's back up a little bit. So this seemed like a very normal position up to here. White has the bishop pair, but this bishop on f1 does really nothing, mostly just defending against this bishop.
So this has become a theme, though, in this tournament, is one player having the bishop pair and it looking not very impressive, and then all of a sudden you fast forward 10 moves and that player's just totally winning the game.
So I think we are actually heading towards the end of the tournament as black plays knight d5 and drops a pawn.
Wow, that is...
And he could at least try knight b4, but he just played bishop f5.
What did... What?
Exactly.
Did he think like there is knight takes f4?
Then bishop b6, and you can't stay on the 8th, because if you do, I'll take your knight. And if you move, back rank. Now, I think we are reaching the end part of the tournament, and people start making mistakes.
And mistakes
big
do get
mistakes. So I think Steven sadly just dropped a pawn here.
Just dropped a pawn.
Bishop f5. It's not that there's no hope defending this, but a pawn is a pawn, and the bishop pair is a bishop pair.
Yeah, and that should seal the deal for white, I would think. But how did the game actually progress?
So actually, Zierk could have tried to build up some sort of structure and try to hold.
Some light square defense.
Yes, some light square defense, but instead tried to be aggressive. And we can see a relaxed Aram Hakobian just stretching and having a little drink.
Right.
As his position is just improving minute by minute. So this rook on a5 was especially dumb, but the problem was solved by Zierk. He helped him restructure it and move it to c3.
Never good to force your opponent's pieces to good squares.
Yes. And now eventually all of white pieces are just primely positioned to attack. He's also trying to move forward or just clamp down these weak pawns. Knight b3 takes. But exchanges are pretty good when you're up a pawn.
Right. And now
King e3, no
this,
rush.
This looks
a5.
This looks quite bad.
And the pawn was taboo because that would just win the endgame.
Oh.
This is
very interesting line with d4 check,
Yep.
king d3, but you still cannot catch the pawn.
Yes.
Very fun stuff. So d5, very nice tactic
Yeah,
by
by
Ram Hakobian. And
Hakobian.
now
King e7
Yeah,
and
king
d6
e7.
was played.
and d6, and this should just be devastating. The d pawn is far
Yeah.
too strong. If nothing else, white can play something very, very simple, like bringing the rook over to, let's say, the e3 square and then up into e7, which is
And should
quite
collect
nice.
all the pawns.
Mhm.
So this should be a win. In fact, yeah, this should be very good for Hakobian, and this would be a big result for him.
All right, as we come to near the end of our show here, it looks like there are just a few games left remaining. So we're expecting Jack to possibly even win this game against
Yes.
Yasser Quesada Perez. We have not yet taken a look at, I think, this Michalewski game against Aveta Grigorian. So what do you think is going on in this rook endgame? Black seems to have a couple extra pawns, but is it more complicated than it seems?
Well, it does feel that it's around 50% chances for both sides to win and a draw. So black has real chances of winning,
Right.
but white's active pieces give a fair chance of drawing as well, especially with this king,
Yeah, the king
being active.
making
and not-
itself quite useful. You
Yeah.
can imagine it running just from e3 to d4,
Yes.
and then one of the black rooks will have to give up its active play in order to defend this pawn.
Also notice that this king is not down here when it would be clear that white is completely lost.
Right. Yeah.
Here-
Trapped on the first rank is
Here
not
it's
where you want to be.
not that simple because black is going to lose one of the pawns, either the A or the C. Grigorian is trying to decide right now which one to do and give away. But in each case, the activity of Michalewski's king might prove enough for a draw.
All right. So there are a few interesting endgames left to watch, but unfortunately we are running a little bit short on time. So why don't we take a look at the results we've had today so far in the A group so far. Var Akobian is still playing this game against Hrant Melkumian, and once again we are beginning to slightly favor white in that endgame, although
Yes.
it's still anyone's game to be certain. Jordan Van Forest drew his game with Alexander Lenderman. Daro drew with Alexander Ipatov. Ilyas Smearin won his game against Alexander Bortnik in a very impressive showing against the Pirk, really just dominating in the center
Yes.
and crashing through on the black.
Classic game by a classic player.
Yes, and then lastly, in our game of the day, Ray Robson managed to defeat Vasiv Durabaili in a very impressive Karo Khan.
His fifth win
his
in a row.
fifth win in a row. Nearly unheard of results against a field this strong.
Yes.
Makes you wonder, is this Ray Robson guy going places pretty soon?
We'll see.
Of course,
We'll
he's
hope
already
so.
spent some time in the top 100, but perhaps this is the time for a sixth American player to start making a bid for a 2,700 style level of chess.
Let's hope so.
It'll be fun to watch for certain. And over in the B group, what we have going on is Aram Hakobian still playing against Steven Zierk. Of course, we see in that endgame that Steven is in quite a lot of trouble with the white pawn on d6. Amon Hamilton drew his game quite quickly today against Alexander Fear. Dennis Kadrich, the man in the colorful hoodie,
Yes.
actually lost to Manuel Petrosian today. Petrosian, of course, is following the leaders with 4 points out of 7 now, looking to be a point behind going into tomorrow. Let's see, other than that, Viktor Michalewski is still playing against Aveta Grigorian in that double rook endgame.
He's fighting for a draw against Aveta Grigorian.
Yeah, fighting for the draw there. And then lastly, in our key matchup of the day, Yasser Quesada Perez is still playing against Jack Stambuliak And the position is only looking better and better for Jack, as he seems to be moving quite quickly to the queen side to collect some pawns.
Yeah.
So this leaves us with some pretty interesting standings coming out of today. If Jack were to win that game in the B group, he would be tied for first place with Yasser Quesada Perez. With just 2 games left to go, that'll make for some interesting final rounds.
Expecting some fireworks in these last few rounds.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we take one more look at this golden ticket promotion by the wonderful Ryan Chester, as he lets you know about an exciting opportunity to support chess in schools and get a chance at some money.
Hi, my name is Ryan Chester, and I'm the development manager for the St. Louis Chess Club. I'm here to tell everyone about a golden opportunity that we have right now. We're selling golden tickets for $50 a piece. It's a 50-50 raffle. $5,000 will go to the Scholastic Chess Initiative for the St. Louis Chess Club, and $5,000 will go to a lucky winner. We're only selling 200 of these, and we've already sold many to grandmasters and all of our commentary team as well. So if you're interested, please call the Chess Club or go to our website on the homepage and buy a golden ticket there. Thank you and good luck.
All right, exciting stuff from Ryan Chester. Well, that just about does it for our show today. Important to note, Ray Robson is going to be ahead by what appears to be 1.5 full points after this round.
A lot of points.
And this puts him in a very unique opportunity tomorrow. He plays the only player able to catch him at this point, Jordan van Forest. So if he were to win that game tomorrow, he would clinch the A group with a round to spare.
Wow.
Be sure to join us for all of that action at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow for round 8 of the Fall Chess Classic. And once again, we would like to thank you guys for joining us on YouTube. If you'd like to still follow these games for yourself on uschesschamps.com, please be sure to do that. Definitely some interesting endgames still going on.
Yes. So.
And other than that, we'll see you tomorrow for more action at the 2019 Fall Chess Classic.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.